All right, so developing innovative analytics tools for specific industries is challenging because it requires the technologists to assimilate transdisciplinary understanding. I'll talk about some of the challenges involved in this and some ideas for ways to make it easier. So recently, we've seen a proliferation of personal health data. And this is good because some conditions are so complex that managing them is akin to flying an aircraft. We need good instruments, and we need them now. A disease group very familiar with this need are type 1 diabetics because they use constant data collection and complex contextual cues to make critical care decisions on an hourly and sometimes minute-to-minute basis. Now, as in many areas, the current tools are not up to par. I know because I've lived this experience. Basically, without integration, personalization, and intuitive reporting, 72% of patients can't use them to successfully manage their disease, which is why we see some examples of incredible ingenuity from the type 1 diabetes community. Some audience members may be involved. We see systems for real-time data feeds and quantified self-style applications to integrate different lifestyle data factors. And what's incredible about this is the monumental task of integrating understanding of human factors, medicine, design, and technology all at the same time. Now, the impressiveness of this and the difficulty is not to do with the amount of information that's available openly on the web. It's to do with our lack of protocols to efficiently and effectively interface with this and draw meaning from it. So if we look at the core tasks, you're finding information, you're finding ways to bring it in, you're triangulating it, you're filtering it down to valid assets, and you're collecting excerpts relevant to your projects to synthesize and draw insights from for your projects. Now, it's important that we find easier ways to do this in the health application development space because we need, in order to have impact, to move from minimum viability to products that can maximize the value for a larger proportion of patients, and they need to be developed with rigor. One place to look for inspiration is the national intelligence practice, and specifically this notion of sense-making. If we look at this task analysis, we start to see leverage points where we can bring in new technology to make this process facilitated. And what we're hearing overwhelmingly from developers is a need for a system to better interface with transdisciplinary knowledge sources to pull out design implications for our applications. One thing this system needs to comprise immediately is a combination of both human curation and analytic aid to bring up the extracts, because when you're dealing with such a diverse array of information sources, you need the highlights to manage them. And whether you're working in a large corporation or on a smaller development team, you know there's limited time and resource to cover ground in your product development cycle. So when you cover that ground, you want to get a holistic view. Now, another function of this system would be to facilitate the foraging process. And through interactions with hundreds of developers in the type 1 diabetes space, we've begun to actually map out shared knowledge needs, which could directly plug into the design of an intuitive navigation flow through curated information sources. Additionally, we know that project coordinators need a space where they can efficiently place multimedia files, excerpts that are relevant to their projects they can see all at once to more easily synthesize and pull out those design implications. An open source developer might benefit from this by building on his technical expertise and bringing in more understanding of rigorous medical use standards and analytics possibilities. We can think of other scenarios like an endocrinologist who's trying to develop software that allows him to layer real-life contextual data from his patients over traditional clinical data for more meaningful interpretation. And he needs access to patient stories to design this software. And the need for this extends far beyond our case study of type 1 diabetes. There are hundreds of millions of mobile health app users coming by 2015. And interestingly, app development is centered around only a couple of areas in this, a couple of diseases among this highly prevalent group. So this type of system, what we're trying to do is expand the base of innovators working on these projects to maximize the possibility for a wide array of projects to emerge that truly help a large number of patients. And the goal is that by enhancing the product development process, we can directly support better health outcomes and better quality of life. Thank you.